Welcome to Rauta and another preview video of Steelfest 2025. This is done many months later than the original reveal, what was like in September 2024. So a lot of changes have taken place, actually more than I could remember since the initial list of bands which I presented you back in the days. Now, it maybe wouldn't make much of a sense if there weren't that much, updates to be mentioned. But I was kind of revisiting the whole original list from my own video because I have no notes left of that, fall original release. And I was thinking like, were there actually so many changes? And now that I have taken a look, yes, indeed. And that's why there is this reason to do this quick preview part 2 to the whole thing, because I think there are a lot of people who are still wondering where to go in May, or should I go to Steelfest 2025, and maybe you just, fell out of the loop during the months that gone. I mean, early releases, a lot of people like, yay, we're gonna go there, and there were always frequent visitors such as me that go there every year. But probably there are some people who just like check out the original list thinking like, okay, some decent lineup, I might go, I might not go. And then there was addition. At first, like 10 more bands were going to be announced. Then they were announced and some bands couldn't make it. So there were some changes. Band A were replaced by Band B and all that stuff until it was finalized later this spring. Maybe actually like a week before this video was on, but I was on a vacation, so really couldn't do it real time. So here we are, just roughly about 3 weeks to the given festival. But like I said, I think it's there's a reason to do this because of these major additions and changes to the whole lineup. So let's give it a go. First, I will do it in a goofy way, meaning I will show you the original list, what I had here with the notes coming from Promoter. So as you can see, this is just a basic text file here, because like I said, I don't do pretentious, cool graphics. I'm not that guy. I just want to get the information done. And here it is, the basic list where you can see a lot of these names. There's not much to see just for the comparison's sakes. You will see bands like Lander, which are not coming but replaced. You will see this Vulturium thing, which is not happening also. And there are some bands on the second side, which were including, completing the whole list here, featuring quite a bit of interesting acts. So this is all something that I already mentioned, earlier in the spring. Earlier into September. But now we have the full list here at Steelfest site. And as you can see, there's lots of logos that were not present in September or October or whatever. So this means the additional artists are here. But maybe we should do it this way. Just check out what was announced. This was, mind you, when 10 artists were to be announced. So already, this was months ago. And there you see, new bands were added to the original bill, which I just showed you. Demonzy from USA, which is going to be interesting for me personally, because it's a band that always was quite underground, but I found it, some 20 years ago, whatever, and I liked it. But I kind of forgot the whole band because, honestly, not that too much was happening, and I kind of forgot the whole existence, and now they're here. So it's going to be interesting to see this American style for the first time. And even more, I'm personally excited about Akron coming to Finnish soil. Why? Because they were supposed to play already in my home city at Turku Saatanalfest before, the whole COVID happened. And I had already set up an, interview and all. And then, boom, they failed the flights and all. And so wasn't happening. And this is also a band that has been buried for so many years. So the only chance to get to see them was if this kind of comeback was happening, and finally it is. And I'm lucky to actually announce that also interview has been agreed with this given band. So personally, very, very stoked about it. But as you can see, a lot of these acts are here listed. True Werewolf has their exclusive Steelfest set. Akron has their own special set focusing on the older material, which I guess is the golden era. Asklum in Fame is doing with guest artisting. This is something I mentioned. And also Absu is doing a Son of Jupiter 13th anniversary set. This is very curious because also Zemial is playing. And as you might know, not just because of my interview with them in 2019. Zemiel and Abzu are kind of overlapping with the things. For example, Warscott from Zemiel is playing in Abzu, and Proscriptor from Abzu is playing in Zemiel. They are like brothers, knowing from each other like, I don't know, 30 years or so. So it's great to see these gentlemen once again play. I had the honor of interviewing them back in 2019, and I'm definitely stoked. I hope this new interview will happen. I haven't given confirmation. That's the only one that is still hanging, but there is possibility that would actually happen. So also you see this list with this updated list. So as you can see, some bands have been added, but there are also some bands still mentioned which are not going to happen. Like, for example, Ragnarok from Norway had to cancel. Not a big thing for me. I've seen them play at Steelfest many years ago, actually one of the earliest when Rauta was to be found and all. But it was still shame because, I was kind of hoping for them to come back. And like I said, still this older list has Vulturium and Lantern mentioned, which didn't happen. Which leads us to the next one, where some additions were made, including the Finnish Pride Archcode, and as well as the Icelandic Quality Act Miss Thurming. So these were added quite late because of those some late cancellations. Also, what was missing from the original thing was Tage doing Dead Squad 20th anniversary. Tage is a veteran when it comes to Steelfest, Steel Chaos festivals. Even I've been lucky to have met host of Talk there a couple of times, a friend of mine, throughout their interviews and all. Great gentleman and always performing wild sets. Also, what is worth mentioning is that Sarcophago is doing their show with Incubus. Some people saying, no, it's not the whole original Sarcophago. Of course, it's not the original one, but it's the closest you can get, and I think it's rare enough to, do the trick. So personally, I'm happy to see this set. And also, now it's a good time to mention some of the interviews I have agreed to do. First of all, like I said, Abzu is still hanging, but there's a good possibility that might happen. Sarcophagos, Incubus already said yes. If you can solve the possible language barrier thing, lost in translation, having some kind of a translator to help us out with the language barrier, it's going to happen, and it seems it's going to happen. So, very, very stoked about that. Among other artists, there are lots of artists which I'm proud to say I have had the possibility to interview. So I can go down the list and say, done, which I'm happy. I take a lot of pride that a lot of these artists are giving their time to me or us in Rauta. I've done interviews. Then again, there are lots of bands I would like to interview, but you can choose only so many. Now, one of the many are actually Deus Mortem, which I interviewed already last year when they played at Turku Saatanalla, but the band wasn't really happy with the results, so it was canned, and now we're going to redo the whole interview as well. But I'm also happy to announce that we're doing Imperi from Singapore, a band that I've known for something like 25 years. And I remember them making, impact on me with their second album, Skull Fucking Armageddon, back in the days. So I'm really happy to have these here. And first of all, there are not too many great Singapore bands doing extreme metal. And second, they're not frequent visitors to Nordic countries. This is the second time they happen to be in Finland, as far as I know. I saw them the first time, and now I'm happy to meet these guys. Personally, maybe the first time, but to see them live again. What other there are mentioned? Yeah, I think Bar Shasket wasn't already on the original list, if I remember correctly, so it's gonna be cool here. Lantern is still mentioned here, but that was indeed replaced later on. So about this band, Imperi, Deus Mortem, Sarcophago, what I'm talking about, Acheron, hopefully Abzu, and that's pretty much what we have here. Oh yeah, an Arcana from Poland. Which is something that we already had a cool chat, before, figuring out when and where to do it. So all I can say is that I'm stoked personally, not only for the lineup that's going to play there, but also these interviews that have been agreed to done. And of course, I'm personally very happy to perform there with my own band, Nightside. I say always my own, as if I was the only member, but you know what I mean. We're 6 guys, and we play Nordic black metal here. Already Friday afternoon. So great setup list so far. which looks fantastic if you really see it. I mean, you have the lots of classic black metal bands of various styles, maybe the older style. You have more contemporary acts like Misterming. You have the sarcophagus stuff from the 80s. You have the anniversary, shows from Tauke and Absu. You have rare bands like Ad Hominem, doing sheer shows and all that stuff. And of course, it's great to have Archcode back on the bill, at Steelfest, because they were taking a little bit of a break from the whole deal here for various reasons. And then we have these dungeon synth stuff to be, counterbalancing all the violent stuff like Morty's and whole Tower. So all in all, in my opinion, this is a great international lineup. You have bands from Greece, Deutschland, Germany for people, Iceland, of course, Finland is presented well here, United States, Singapore, Brazil, Norway. Norway is there actually with Tauke or Noir, Hordem Rife, and lots of countries are really taking place here in various styles. You have the more melodic kind of black metal, you have the more raw kind of black metal, you have black death kind of things, black thrash kind of things, and in my opinion, this is a really, really interesting lineup all, and great bands. Obviously, I don't have the possibility to see them all. That's kind of a shame, but because Steelfest is also always about, meeting friends, new and old. Also about, networking in a way. It might sound a weird word for that, but I mean, we're social animals after all. And of course, it's about, enjoying beer outside between the sets maybe and all. So in my opinion, really, really great festival is coming. My favorite one. I'm not going to deny it. So personally, it's going to be a blast for 3 days with lots of friends, lots of good bands, and hopefully good interviews as well, which we hope to roll out early summer because we have still a few in the pipeline. But this is what I get to tell you, and I hope if you haven't made plans yet for mid-May, this is the place you should be, so no regrets, all that stuff. And if you see me at the fest, come pull me by the sleeve. And of course, I wish and welcome you to see Nightside Show on Friday afternoon. Now, if you have questions, leave them on the comments box below, and I'll get back to you. Off you go.